Hello everyone, I'm Marcus O'Brien, Vice President of AutoCAD, and you're listening to the AutoCAD podcast. In this series, we'll give you an in-depth view of all things AutoCAD, recording live from the AU Expo Hall. First of all, I've got to talk about your safe harbor statement, the most exciting part of this podcast. So our podcast today may contain forward-looking statements about our podcast, business, and other company information. Don't base any of your purchasing decisions based on this podcast. What we're talking about today is true as of this moment, but things change quickly in software, and we can't guarantee the things that we talk about now will remain that way in future. Safe harbor statement done. So in this episode of the AutoCAD podcast, you're going to hear from Dania El Hassan and Rob Maguire about the innovations we bring to you in every release of AutoCAD to help you push the boundaries of design, along with some of the commentary on the latest announcements here at AU 2022. We're going to talk about the evolution of AutoCAD that has served our customers for the last 40 years into an insights-driven, ML-powered, multi-platform product ready to take on the challenges of today. To help me talk about this, today I've got Dania El Hassan alongside me, Director of Product Management for the AutoCAD product line. She led the product team to introduce ML and data science into AutoCAD, launched AutoCAD Web, and partnered with some of the leading cloud providers. Before joining Autodesk, Dania was a construction manager in Boston and worked in product strategy and marketing for AEC software startups. She has a BS in civil engineering from Tufts University and an MBA from MIT Sloan. No big deal. She loves meeting new people, whether customers at AU or traveling the world, or at the dog park in New York City where they're expertly trained Labradoodle Coco. Some of those things might not be entirely true. I have definitely been on Zoom calls with Coco. Welcome to the podcast, Dania. How are you doing?
Thanks, Marcus. Great to be here.
It's great to have you here. So, talking about being here, what brought you here? Let's talk a little bit about the past and kind of what brought Dania kind of to Autodesk and to the software industry.
Absolutely, yeah. So I started my career in construction. I was on the construction site doing line and grade and managing guys and gals in the field. And I really enjoyed working with others to get a big project done and then seeing my work being used by people like us every day. So really loved being on the construction site. I also really loved the innovation that we were doing there. So I actually did a lot of building information modeling using products like AutoCAD, Revit, and Navisworks at the beginning, and eventually made my way into software. I started with a few different startups. Some of them are here, and really got excited by AU. This is my 9th AU.
Wow.
And, really got excited about the things that were happening at Autodesk. So wanted to come here to be able to make an impact with the software that we build. Great.
And were you when you worked, in the field, when you were a customer of ours, did you work on the design side of things mostly, or were you in construction, or kind of where did you fit in?
I was in the construction side. So I was a field engineer. I did site survey, and I managed project engineering and superintending for Turner Construction in Boston.
Nice. So I always think of there's two kind of sides of, when I think of design engineers, those are the types of people who are good at being really thoughtful, planning ahead.
You mean like you?
There are exceptions to every rule, right? I would say that's probably why I left that industry.
Yeah, that wasn't me.
Yeah, but I think about some of the pressures that build up in a project. You're getting a design complete, you're going from concept design through detailed design, and you're trying to get to tender or bidding, as they call it here in the US. And that's kind of a linear, possibly exponential pressure that builds over time. The people who work on site, though, construction engineers are the people who, something happens that day, you've got to fix it right now. You've got to be able to handle those spikes in pressure, right?
Absolutely. There's no remote work on the job site, right? You're either there at 6 a.m. or you're not.
And you're fixing problems right now.
Absolutely.
I've always really respected that.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, really feeling like the work you did have an immediate impact, and you could really see, feel, and touch it. It is really cool to see that impact in real life.
Great.
Yeah. So
you talked a little bit about it, but what 40 years of AutoCAD, why did you choose to come here, and kind of what was it about the legacy that kind of attracted you to this product?
Yeah, well, it definitely has a legacy, right? You can talk to about 50% of the people in the world, right, and talk to an AutoCAD customer. Someone's aunt or uncle uses AutoCAD, so it's really great because I love talking about AutoCAD. So, as I got here and I started to realize just how much innovation was still happening, even for a 40-year-old product, I really felt like, with the amount of sort of innovation plus the number of users that are really excited about the way that we can drive efficiency for a business with AutoCAD, it's really a magic combination, isn't it?
Right. One of the things, the number of customers we have, I think one of the things we say internally is anything multiplied by AutoCAD is a big number.
Right.
So the impact you're able to feel as someone who is developing software and kind of solving customer problems is just, it's huge. You know? And yeah, I feel that for sure.
It's great to see. We were in the AEC keynote yesterday and did a show of hands of just how many people started on AutoCAD and still use AutoCAD, and it was 95%. It's really nice to see. So when we do make these great innovations, that they're really impactful for all of our customers at Autodesk.
Well, now that you're touching on it, we saw AutoCAD in a couple of announced a couple of times today. We saw Steve Blum talking about AutoCAD and the important role that ML is having in terms of assisting customers and having live chat in product. We're also seeing things around how ML-driven insights are powering features that we're creating these days. Can you talk to me a little bit about, this is the Future of AutoCAD podcast. Can you talk to me a little bit about kind of some of the changes you've seen happening in AutoCAD over the almost decade you've been here? Yeah,
so over 9 AUs, I think the conversation has been shifting quite a lot. So when I first got here, we were talking about how do you get data into the drawing, right? Whether it's things like PDF input or, drawing compare, even just trying to make data in AutoCAD a lot easier.
Right.
And that was really impactful for customers. A couple years ago, around 2016, 17, you really customers starting to embrace the cloud, and we realized just how many billions of DWGs are in clouds. At that time, that's when we started doing a lot of the partnerships with the big cloud providers, investing really heavily in docs and getting that data into our clouds, which really powers us to do different things. So now what I'm seeing is we're using data in multiple ways. One being, we're really helping our customers collaborate with each other. We talked about data processing tools today a lot, and really seeing customers trying to embrace the products across Autodesk together to work, more seamlessly. And we see, that shift to the platform starting to evolve at Autodesk, and I think customers really like what we're doing and really want to see more. So I think we have a big challenge ahead on that side to try to figure out how do we create those stepping stones to get customers to help build that future together with us. On the AI and ML side, that's also a really big way that we're using data, right? We've been talking about automations for a long time. 40 years of legacy really has a lot of automation in it, whether it's, using the array command to automate the creation of many objects at a time or batch plotting. We've been doing automation for a very long time, right?
It's in the name.
It's in the name. Yeah. AutoCAD. Yeah. And so, but what I'm really talking about today is something a little bit different. We have the power of machine learning to be able to do more with the software than we ever could before. So we're able to guide customers to better outcomes. So the markup import and assist, I'm not sure how many customers have seen that already, but if you haven't yet, check it out. It's super powerful.
Update to the latest version, right? If you want to see it, you got to update. Yeah.
You can capture markups from anywhere, whether it's PDF, it's in the drawing, or even on paper. You can do it on a mobile device, take a picture of it, we pull in those markups, and we actually can use that machine learning to figure out that this is text that belongs in the drawing or rev clouds that belong in the drawing, and maybe even help you go further than that into the future. So
yeah, I'm all in. I heard a couple of key things I want to dig into here. I heard, collaborate, I heard platform, and I heard AI/ML. Give us a little bit of context around just how much customer data there is out there. Like, with AutoCAD, one of the advantages of being a 40-year-old product is that the DWG file format has existed a long time. Tell us a little bit about that.
It's practically an industry standard, right? People use DWG to collaborate because it is the language of CAD, right?
Yeah.
And so what we found was a few years ago, we started looking into working with these cloud providers, and there were over 12 billion DWGs in those cloud providers alone, and we only picked 4 of them. I'm sure there are way, way more than that, only in the clouds, but on desktop devices as well. And so imagine the power of all of that data, being able to crack that open, find pieces of data that are relevant for other users, and really be able to present relevant information to each other from that data.
Or personalized data also, right? Based on your catalog of DWGs that you've created.
Don't get me started, Marcus. I mean, especially on the personalization side, it's important to talk about the things we're doing on the insight side as well, right?
Tell me about it.
Really meeting customers where they are. We can find, patterns in their usage history and their commands that they use, and actually offer them not just tips, but even macros to automate their work. So if you're up there, I think you saw Amy talk about this just a few minutes ago. Amy was talking about, well, if you are constantly copy rotating your chairs to create a layout, we'll offer up a macro for you to automate that workflow. these are personalized, right? So they're probably different for you than they are for someone else here.
Yeah.
But that's the future of learning, really, right? Really meeting you where you are, and making your journey towards being better.
And we can't talk about adoption numbers, and we can't talk about future facing numbers as well. But what we can say is that in terms of these ML driven, these macro advisors and things like that, we are seeing massive success rates in terms of customer satisfaction. Can you tell us a little bit about what you can say? Not to put you on the spot, but we know that, for example, some of the things we track are when we do offer up an insight, we know that customers are likely to click on it. In fact, they're likely to save that macro as well, that we're offering the right information to the right person at the right time. So a way that we can measure that is like, do you use what we use and do you save it? And we're seeing a lot. People use it a lot and save it a lot, right? So,
that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
I don't want my boss to fire me, so I won't actually say.
Disagree with me.
Yeah. No. Well, it's the vast majority is what I'll say.
Yeah.
It's a number that's staggering.
Yeah.
So it's really because it's so personalized that insight or that macro is valuable to the user, right?
Yeah.
Typically when you get emails or something else about like how you can help in your workflows, or they're out of context, they're not for you. Yeah. Those things get sub 1% click rates.
Okay.
I'm talking about the vast majority of people finding use in these.
Wonderful. I want to take a little bit, just kind of a sidestep. So one of the things you talked about was kind of the evolution of AutoCAD in terms of it went from pulling data into the DWG to connecting to, Dropbox, Box, OneDrive, those partnerships we did to connect to those billions of DWGs. And COVID hit, right? Then we had, suddenly we've got all of our customers suddenly working from home for the first time. Talk us through kind of some of the things that we did there and kind of what we learned and how we evolved our products.
I mean, I think what we saw was an acceleration of something we saw happening anyway, which was our customers really want to be able to take their data and their AutoCAD wherever they go.
Right.
But, that really accelerated when they hit COVID and they didn't have their desktop machines at home. What we did in a couple of days, we were able to give them free commercial access to their web and mobile products. And they kept up and running. Yeah. So they were really happy with that. They got BIM docs as well so that they could access their cloud files and really enable their workflows. And
really helped us shape the product. The web product at that time, very much became, what we call meet over a DWG, a place for teams and people to collaborate. Yeah?
Absolutely.
Coming back to your point about collaboration, like that multi-platform aspect. Tell me about how you think about desktop, web, mobile, the kind of different use cases for them that kind of as you see it.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously AutoCAD desktop, that's where your detailed designs are really happening. You've got the precision of AutoCAD, you've got your dual monitors, you've got your funky little mouse with all your shortcuts going on there. That will be around for a very, very long time to help customers get detailed design. What we've found is, in addition, that customers really want to meet with each other over a DWG, right? You and I are collaborating. Wouldn't it be great to have that DWG right in front of us? Right. The web is the best place to do that, and I believe it's the future of collaboration.
Right.
So the AutoCAD web app has been really useful for customers to add markups, to really be able to input feedback from each other so that they can continue that that collaboration on desktop. And then what we're seeing on the mobile device is that mobile customers are bringing their devices onto site more and more often, right? Not just construction professionals, but designers, right? They need to go out and validate field conditions. They need to do as-builts. They need to make sure that their drawings are accurate and make sense and can really work in the field. And so they're bringing their mobile device into the field to get that input, that data from the field to be able to, really leverage the work. So yeah, I think, just back to your point, I feel like what we've seen is an acceleration of our customers going to web and mobile, mostly because they need to now, right? They're experiencing all this challenge and digital transformation, and what they're met with is tools and solutions that really help them do that.
And we have a new offering, right?
Absolutely.
Tell me about it. What do we got?
Well, we just brought AutoCAD Web to market. It is a combination of the web and mobile applications, and it's offered at a lower commercial price than some of our desktop software, which makes it more accessible for customers like project engineers, for example, that work in AutoCAD, but maybe a little bit less so than some of the other folks on their team. And it's really an accessible way for that next generation of users to take advantage of the web, the cloud, and mobile devices that get them working faster.
Fantastic. Love it.
Yeah.
Let's see. As we look towards the future, so you talked about collaboration. I want to touch on it again. What does that mean for you? It's kind of a loaded term, platform, collaboration. They're kind of very heavily used. What does collaboration mean for you?
Ooh. I think, I really liked how Andrew and Amy have put it today, which is really about connecting people, data, and process all together.
Yeah.
Right? So when you think about how we're going to be able to enable our products to work better together, that's going to happen through the platform, right? So we're going to continue to build on top of docs and really make those experiences, those collaborative experiences really great. But we're going to do it in ways that allows us to access data that powers insights and automations on top of it.
Right.
And that is really the future of collaboration.
Love it. Succinct. Love it. I've got a section here which is called This or That.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to read this to you, Dania. Okay. This or that. You're going to get to pick one.
Can I present you with a this?
You can present me with a this.
Check this out.
Dania's opening her bag. I hope other people know what this is. It's a live ferret. Potatoes! Yay! So these are Irish chips that you can't get here in America. I had a feeling you might have got me a pack. Thank you, Dania. Dania found these in some store. Was it here?
Yeah, New York City. So
New
you
York.
can find everything in New York.
Love it.
The point here is not a huge investment, but because I know you, I know your data and how you work, right? I can offer you something.
Personalized chips.
Personalized chips that I know only you will like. If I gave those to Patrick, I don't know if he would like them so much.
Patrick would like them. These are universally amazing.
They're fine.
No, they're universally.
They're the best for you.
Listen to your this or that options.
I'm listening.
We'll start easy. Tea or coffee?
Tea? No. Coffee. Definitely coffee.
Ribbon or command line?
Command line, definitely.
Lisp or macros?
Oh, I gotta go with macros. I'm sorry.
Enter button, spacebar, or right click to enter?
Right click, definitely.
Right click, controversial.
Really?
Spacebar.
No way.
Yeah.
You gotta move things around? No.
Light mode or dark mode?
Dark.
Dark?
Yeah.
Me too.
It's easier on your eyes, right?
Easy.
I don't have to wear those silly glasses.
Groups or blocks?
Blocks. Blocks are more.
Floating tab file or tab on a second monitor?
Tab on the second monitor? Are you
Have
joking?
Have to do it.
Of
Yeah.
course.
Last
Use
one.
all that real
Dogs
estate.
or cats?
Twice says
Cats. Boom.
what?
For
Coco.
Misha. Misha's out there
Coco
somewhere.
for the
He's gonna want
win.
cats.
Coco for the win. Where's Coco?
Dania, it's been a pleasure talking to you today. Before you go, I want to talk to you. I just want to say one thing, which one of our, we've had people give us some tips that we can share on here. And it was one of the tips I called out earlier. So here's a quick tip for anybody who's using AutoCAD that might not have tried this before. Use Shift plus Spacebar to select from a group of overlapping objects. For example, select a single line from multiple overlapping lines and points. That's from Joshua M.G. Nelson. Thanks for sending that in. Appreciate
Thanks,
the
Joshua.
tip.
That's cool.
We'll try and incorporate it.
Right.
Dania,
Very
it's
cool.
been a pleasure. I know you're
been really
super
fun.
busy. I'm going to let you go, but thanks very much for coming and chat today. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you so much, Marcus. It's been great.
Welcome back, everybody, to the all-new AutoCAD podcast. Sitting beside me now, I've got Rob Maguire, who's Vice President of the AEC Design Platform Group. The Platform Group supports architecture, engineering, and construction AEC customers from a data and operations perspective, as well as delivering the AutoCAD product line. The AutoCAD portfolio of products now boasts web and mobile versions, partnerships with leading tech companies like Apple, Microsoft, and Google, and 6 industry toolsets for vertical industries. Rob has spent his career at Autodesk, and prior to his current role, worked in various roles including product management, engineering, and development. He holds a Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering from the University of California, Berkeley, and a Master's of Business Administration from Boston University School of Management. Rob lives in the Bay Area with his wife and children, and most importantly, is my boss. Welcome to the podcast, Rob. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Marcus.
It's good to have you here.
Good to be here.
Rob, as it says in your bio, you've held a number of roles at AutoCAD. You've been here for a while. Tell us a little bit about kind of your journey to VP of what you do now.
Sure. So I started in college learning AutoCAD R12 for DOS. So previous to Windows actually being a thing, so that tells you how long I've been doing this. But I also took enough computer science in undergrad to be a little bit dangerous, and they just so happened to teach that in Lisp. So that was incredibly a valuable little skill of mine, and so I could basically program AutoCAD straight out of school.
Nice.
So Autodesk was founded in my hometown of Mill Valley, California. Bounced around Sausalito and San Rafael, but I started working there when they were in San Rafael as a Lisp tester based on the skills I had learned in school, which was pretty interesting. You know, it was a big software firm. Like I thought I was going to be a mechanical engineer, and all of a sudden I'm in Autodesk testing Lisp routines. But funny thing happened right around January of 2000 when I started at Autodesk was that was kind of the bubble was about ready to burst, and all the .com universe was starting to crash, and pets.com was imploding and all that. So we were in one sense, trying to put the internet into AutoCAD.
2000i, right?
2000i.
Yeah.
Had a lovely little pop-up feature known as AutoCAD Today. Probably most hated feature in the history of AutoCAD, I would say. Lasted one release and then we took it out. But it had that sort of connected, internet connected world where we were trying to do a bunch of features, right? We were connecting to AutoCAD, publishing patches. We had little CAD Manager corner. People really liked that. Their CAD Manager could type stuff in and publish it to their site. People loved that. So in that sort of the swirl of the .com universe, I got sucked into the software development side of Autodesk. So I quickly moved out of Lisp testing and did webmaster stuff. And I was basically a server-side engineer connecting the internet to Autodesk products. And in many ways, I haven't stopped doing that. And so I was a junior engineer, then I was a senior engineer, and I was behind a bunch of our web service features and analytics tools. When we were pitching the analytics system, which is actually some of the foundation for some of the ML things that we do today, I was really interested in the pitch, right? Like here's a business case. I want to do this. Let's make it happen.
Right.
And kind of realized I needed some business school savvy, and like as much as I wanted to be a product manager, I did need a little bit of training. So I went back to yes. There's nothing to it really. So I went back to school, got my business degree. I even got a master's of science in information systems because I didn't have enough computer science to be a minor, to have a minor from Berkeley. But honestly, I didn't need it after being an engineer for like 6 years. That was kind of maybe a bonus degree. But so I came back to Autodesk in 2008 after the acquisition of RealViz, which was a company in the south of France. Dominique, I think, was actually here. I saw him on the show floor.
He was there earlier, yeah.
The Cintu company, I think. Yeah, so we had acquired that company. We were trying to basically, if you take a bunch of pictures of an object, you could make a 3D model synthetically out of that and bring that into AutoCAD, which also sent us down the road of point clouds and laser scanning and other reality capture features.
Yep.
But right about then, Autodesk was interested in bringing AutoCAD back to the Mac. So I was the initial PM of bringing AutoCAD back to the Mac. And that took me a few years, but that was super cool, really enabled by Macs moving to Intel-based processors, which made it a lot easier for Autodesk to come back. And so after doing that for a while, then I became the PM for AutoCAD for Windows. Then I was sort of more the general manager in terms of all the engineers. Since I had been a tester and I'd been an engineer and I'd been a product manager, I got the cross-functional job. Then they started just adding more AutoCADs. It was like, here's like some 7 industry verticals, like Plant 3D, which I knew nothing about when I got it. And then some web and mobile things and Mac things. And it was pretty cool. And then last November, that's kind of when I switched to the AEC Design Platform.
Right.
And picked up some additional responsibilities around our data stuff. So both with some of the data interoperability that we already deal with, but moving a little bit into this cloud information model stuff that Andrew was talking about in the keynote yesterday.
Yeah, I got a lot of questions to you about that, but hold on a second before we get there.
Yes.
So, talking about 40 years of AutoCAD, kind of the legacy, kind of what are some of the standout moments for you, not just within your own career, but kind of for AutoCAD over that time?
Sure. Yeah, so from the R12 days, that was for DOS, right? And there was our first foray into Windows didn't really go so well. That was kind of the R13 release that was released for both DOS and Windows. But by R14, it got a lot stronger and much more popular. And in release 2000, we introduced the Object-ARX API, which is when we got like object-oriented C++ code, which really enabled all of the verticals. We had verticals and other third-party extensions and Lisp and VBA and things like that. But once we got to object-oriented C++, like that's when it really took off. Right. And that was definitely like a marquee sort of space. So then there was all the acquisitions. So we acquired Sofdesk, which became Architectural Desktop. We acquired Genius Software, which became AutoCAD Mechanical.
So this was like in the 90s, early noughties, like that was the big push into verticals. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it like continued in like 4 or 5 more industries, right? And then with 2009, that was the acquisition of Visual Tau with web and mobile and, bringing the Mac back and all that kind of fun stuff. So I would say like Object-ARX really sort of changed the world. Like Lisp back in the day, like I would say from 82, like Lisp was introduced, I think the first release thereafter. Yeah. And that sort of started the third-party extension vibe, but it really kicked into high gear with Object-ARX.
Right. I would agree with you on that. And Dania had a couple of key moments as well. One of the things Dania talked about was, Dania's been here 9 years, and she kind of said that we've had a big push to connect to all the data that's available. That was kind of what we've been doing since like 2017, 2018. lots of partnerships with Dropbox, OneDrive, etc., to make sure customers connect to their data that's in the cloud. Prior to that, customers had everything on LAN, and there was no need to connect to cloud. With this push to connect to all of these DWGs that are in the cloud was kind of phase one for us. It feels like we're kind of entering phase two now. Kind of when we heard Dania talked about some of the ML capabilities that we've added to AutoCAD based on having more insights through data. Amy talked about the macro advisor and again ML insights. Where is this going in terms of AutoCAD? Kind of, what do you think holds some of the? What does this open up for AutoCAD customers?
Sure. I think those features are a fantastic start. I think there's incredible value and fancy things we're working on that we can't even talk about. But I think one of the things we realize as we try and do ML capabilities on top of our data is if the data is not all in the same place, because it's in Box, Dropbox, OneDrive, Autodesk Construction Cloud, or other repositories, we can't do as much learning based on it as we would like, right? And many times the data is not properly structured, right? So if you want to look for like repeating patterns in a ML algorithm, you have to have sort of a centralized, structured data set. And that's really where this cloud information model kicks in, right? And so starting with all those partnerships and the focus on data that AutoCAD has had for a while, thank you, Dania, thank you, Marcus, that has really, like you say, completed sort of phase one of like, okay, now what do we do, right? We've got that part. So I think being able to recognize patterns and complete workflows based on structured data, that isn't like all over the place. Like we're, I think, doing baby steps now with like broader algorithms, but like once we know your data and we can learn from your data in your case and offer more specialized value based on your specific information, I think that's going to be incredibly powerful and will become the new way people work, frankly. And
I think you hit the nail on the head there, because there are different ways of doing ML. I think there's almost a God ML sticker that's kind of a marketing push for some products in some industries, that it's like ML powered, but powered to do what? But I feel having these personalized insights is definitely the direction to take it. I was talking to Dania about, we know that we're on the right track because the adoption of these features is huge. We're seeing customers use these features, want more of these features, so we know we're onto a winner. You talked about kind of a cloud information model, and Andrew on main stage talked about Fusion, Forma, and Flow. Can you talk a little bit more about kind of in your new role, kind of what that means and how we're doing things a little differently?
Sure. So the cloud information model not only supports ML operations in AutoCAD,
right,
and, it supports the other sort of traditional hero products, right? So Revit, Civil, Plant, et cetera, all have things like collaboration for Revit, collaboration for Civil, collaboration for Plant. And so the cloud information model will extend those collaboration services as well. But so it's kind of like supporting the existing portfolio, but it also creates the foundation for the future portfolio. Andrew talked about like disruption, right? Like we want to offer value to AutoCAD customers, the existing portfolio customers, but we also want to like, what can we do if we don't have to be bound by the structures of the products we built, 40 years ago, 20 years ago, whatever it was? Like there's some seriously awesome things we can do there, but when we can actually reimagine the interface of the product itself, we can go into things like Forma, right? So Forma is focused on what we call outcome-based design, where the ML is so integral to what you're doing, it's helping you actually design the thing in a more macro way.
Yeah.
So we've got things like, importing text and, markup assist, markup import going on now, and fancy things in the pipeline. But, if you get to the point where you can actually shape the building based on the sun study, you can shape the environment, or do a traffic analysis or a noise analysis, daylight study of like how much daylight comes through the window, to every occupancy in the building. We can optimize for such things, which, is a little bit beyond what we can do with our traditional product sets today.
Right. And how much, Raji in her keynote yesterday talked about the role of platform in this, kind of that we're not building three separate, totally distinct things. Can you help customers maybe understand at a high level what that means?
Sure. So we have Forma, Flow, and Fusion, right? Fusion being sort of the farthest out in front. But we definitely don't want to create three new silos. We have plenty of silos now. We don't want to create three new ones. So when we're building the cloud information model, to be clear, there's only one.
Right.
Right. There's one, and it's based on Autodesk Platform Services, formerly Forge.
That's right.
With that, we have to kind of customize that for these different environments, but having that sort of common core means that we can exchange information across the clouds. Mm-hmm. So we use what we call common data currencies. Well, for example, a pipe. Like if we have a pipe in Inventor and a pipe in Plant 3D, pipe in Innovyze,
Yeah.
we want to be able to know that that is the same pipe,
Yeah.
right? Logically, even though we might have 3 different representations of it, which we use in Innovyze and Inventor and AutoCAD or Plant 3D,
Yeah.
and whatever it is, like those common data currencies can be supported by anyone, right? With this sort of open standard, open API, and that sort of platform mentality really means that, you know, the same things that made AutoCAD successful back in the day with the Object ARX stuff, we're seeking to do that again in a much bigger kind of way with more powerful engines, you know, at the helm.
Yeah. And we want to bring AutoCAD customers with us. I mean, AutoCAD has a big role to play in this. And like you said, we're going to continue to do things that continue to hopefully delight our customers and bring more ML insights and more value to them as we go on this journey. We're all going on this journey together, right?
Yeah. And we were very, very intentional about the fact that we didn't want to say like, hey, let's abandon the past and everybody on the future. Like that is not what this is, right? Like we are doing incremental value delivery with every step, right? We know this is going to take a long time. And if we can have the cloud information model, like offer value back to the existing customer base, as well as look towards the future, like that's exactly what we're going to do, right? And that compatibility is frankly going to be necessary because I think AutoCAD's going to be around for the rest of all time. So I'm not worried about that and you shouldn't be either.
Yeah. I did want to touch on something you talked about earlier. You talked about the acquisition of Visual Tau in 2009. Can you talk to me a little bit about how we've evolved, as AutoCAD has evolved in terms of multi-platform over that time?
Sure. These acquisitions are super interesting, right? Like you get a bunch of startups and then you like acquire them into Autodesk, which is perhaps known as a large machine at times. You know, we get some cultural challenges, shall we say, but it's a good, healthy tension, right? Like they help you sort of innovate, right? Because they're used to innovating in the outside world where like funding is scarce and, you know, they have to make the next dollar or they're not going to, you know, they run out of runway and go bankrupt. But that sort of acquisition of Visual Tau really set us up for having an appropriate discussion about like delivering value in an incremental way that makes sense, right? And so they initially started with, you know, I think it was even a Flash-based
that's right.
UI and, you know, with always an eye towards bringing the mobile stuff forward, but it was a fundamental like rewrite of AutoCAD from outside the building that we acquired, right? And I totally fell into the like innovator's dilemma of this. You know, I'm used to like big major customers like talking about visual fidelity and my line types don't look right and what's wrong with this thing. And and then I saw the visual fidelity of a startup on the outside that we just acquired, and I was like, oh, that's not good enough. Like, you know,
they're
not gonna, who's gonna, you know, our major accounts are gonna flip out at this.
Yeah.
But you know, people want their drawings on a mobile device.
That's right.
Right. This is what I fundamentally missed at the time, right? And realize now with millions of people using the mobile version of things, that helped teach us like that sort of trade-off, right? So I think I
want to give context. It was 2009. The iPhone was 2 years old.
Yes.
I feel like, you know, hindsight is 2020, right? But I mean, like, you know, this was early days of pre-iPad possibly, you know, I mean.
It was pre-iPad.
Yeah, so there we go, right? Like,
this was super early, right? And, but I think once we learned that, which I personally benefited from, like we were all in, right? So how could we bring more and more the strength and breadth of the AutoCAD universe to the mobile platform?
Right.
And as the mobile platform got stronger, right? Like the iPhone that we have today is probably several thousand or even more times more powerful than the one that showed up in 2007.
That's right.
So it's roughly equivalent to what a computer from like a desktop computer from 10 years ago, right? And AutoCAD ran on a computer from 10 years ago, right? And so we realized that you could start to reuse increasing amounts of the desktop app on the mobile device because it had the horsepower to run it, right? And that was like an awakening, right? So, and we had teams like literally rewriting the table object and like, okay, that took an AutoCAD team, like 6 people on a team, like 2 years to build a table, right? I mean, it's a very sophisticated table. Those of you know the table object in AutoCAD, but do we want to have another team rebuild that on a different code base?
So we're going to have to rewrite it. We had a C++ code base for desktop, right? And we were going to have to rewrite it for each platform we
rewrote every single feature up until that point. And we were like, you know what? That's probably not the right way to go. So we ended up trying to, and miracle of miracle, AutoCAD ran on Unix back in the day. Those of you who've been around that long, multiple flavors of Unix even. And because the version of Mac OS was now based on, it was like Darwin, Linux variants, we actually had a chance to get AutoCAD desktop code to run in a Unix Mac OS environment. And that really opened the door, plus the Intel stuff. And we increasingly bring this stuff over to, mobile and web and various different ways of repurposing the AutoCAD code base, which increases usability,
Yeah.
increases compatibility, like it makes it faster. There's a lot of awesome stuff in
Features the market quicker. You know, so basically we have a single code C++ code base today where we can port features. You know, I say it's as easy as turning them on and on other platforms, and software developers.
And then your team
eyes.
like cringes. Yes. Like, who's
But
that guy? Oh wait, he's our boss.
Yeah, I think we better do it. Yeah, but I mean, it's game changing in terms of we can deliver value faster for customers. We have robust desktop, web, mobile. We have a new offering,
I'm excited about that.
which is our AutoCAD web offering, which just came out recently, our web and mobile apps. So we have, you know, a full portfolio of products to try and solve all the AutoCAD needs and to make sure this 40-year legacy continues when, you know, as we go forward. Rob, now we get to the serious part of the interview. I want to talk to you about some this or that things, and these are going to be tough.
It's going to be real.
It's going to be real.
Oh, no.
This is where it gets real. Okay, this or that. Rob, tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Ribbon or command line?
Command line.
Always.
Always.
Lisp or macros?
Lisp. Have to.
It's what got you here. Enter button, space bar, or right click?
Spacebar.
Boom. On the same page there. Daniel's a right clicker.
What?
Yeah, I know. I was very disappointed. Light mode or dark mode?
Dark.
Same. Groups or blocks?
Blocks.
Floating tabs, tile, or tab on a second monitor?
Second monitor.
Yeah. Last one. This was Daniel specific with dogs or cats. I guess you get or nothing. What would you go for?
I got 2 cats. I got S'mores and Clementine at home, and they're, you know, they would not look lightly upon me for not saying cats. So I got to say cats.
Fantastic. Rob, I got one more thing I got to do. I'm going to do a shout out. We've had some tips come in from some of our customers. Here's one. See, did you know this one? Use the copy command, not Control-C and Control-V. Control-C and Control-V pull your line work out of your drawing, then paste it back in, creating dummy blocks in your drawings that can cause unnecessary bloat. That's from Adams Farnsworth.
I did not know that. Dummy block sounds bad.
That sounds
dummy
bad.
blocks. Yes.
Requiring purge.
No dummies.
Let's not do that.
No purge.
Rob, it's been a real pleasure talking to you today. I know you're super busy. You got to run off to other things. Thanks for coming on the podcast and sharing all your knowledge with us.
Awesome. Happy to be here. Thank you, Marcus.
It's been great. Thanks, Rob.